Most dog owners assume their dog loves them, and most of the time that assumption is correct, but love and comfort are not the same thing. A dog can be deeply bonded to you and still be communicating through consistent and specific behavioral signals that something in the relationship is not working for them, that something you are doing or not doing is creating distance rather than closing it. The problem is that these signals are easy to miss, easy to rationalize, easy to chalk up to the dog having an off day or simply having a particular personality. Today, we are going through 7 of them. Not signs of a broken relationship, signs of a strained one. And the difference between those two things is what you do with the information. 1. They consistently avoid eye contact with you. Eye contact between a dog and their primary attachment figure is one of the most well-researched behavioral markers of bond quality. The Nagasawa study established that mutual gaze triggers oxytocin in both species. It is a bonding event, neurochemically, every time it happens, which means the consistent avoidance of it is a signal worth taking seriously. A dog that looks away when you try to make eye contact, that orients their gaze away from your face during interactions, that never initiates the soft, sustained look that bonded dogs direct at their people. That dog is communicating something specific. Either they are uncertain about you, they have learned that direct eye contact from you tends to precede something unpleasant, or the relationship does not carry enough safety for them to offer the vulnerability that eye contact requires. Context matters here. A dog that avoids eye contact in specific high-stress situations, during correction, during handling they find uncomfortable, is communicating discomfort in that context. A dog that avoids it broadly, across ordinary daily interactions, is telling you something about the baseline quality of the relationship. The fix is not to force eye contact. It is to become the kind of presence that makes your dog want to look at you. 2. They do not come to you when something frightens them. This is one of the most telling signals on this list and one of the least recognized. When a dog is frightened by a loud sound, an unfamiliar situation, something that activates their threat detection system, a securely attached dog seeks their primary attachment figure. They move toward the person who represents safety. This is attachment behavior functioning exactly as designed. A dog that does not do this, a dog that retreats alone, that seeks comfort from other people or other animals preferentially, that does not orient toward you when the world becomes frightening, is a dog whose nervous system has not registered you as their safe base. They may love you. They may enjoy your company in calm, easy moments, but the primary test of an attachment bond is what the dog does when they are scared. And if the answer is not you, that is information about where the relationship actually stands, not where you assumed it stood. Building safe base status requires consistent, reliable emotional availability over time. Being the person who is calm when things are hard. Being the person whose presence reliably resolves the stress rather than adding to it. 3. They leave the room when you enter. Stop ignoring this one. A dog that consistently gets up and moves to another space when you arrive, not occasionally, not when they are tired and settled, but as a pattern across ordinary interactions, is a dog that is telling you something directly and clearly. They are choosing distance over proximity. And for a social animal whose entire behavioral architecture is oriented toward closeness with their attachment figure, the choice of distance is never neutral. This behavior is often rationalized by owners. The dog is independent. The dog just likes their space. The dog is fine. They come back eventually. But independence and avoidance are not the same thing. A genuinely independent dog is comfortable in your presence and occasionally chooses to be elsewhere. An avoidant dog is uncomfortable in your presence and consistently chooses to be elsewhere. The distinction is in the consistency and the body language that accompanies it. Watch what the dog's body does when you enter the room. If they rise with a relaxed body and move to another space casually, that may be independence. If they rise with any tension, any lowering of the head, any quickening of movement away from you, that is avoidance. And avoidance is the dog voting with their feet and how your presence feels to them. 4. They show whale eye around you regularly. Whale eye, the visible whites of a dog's eyes becoming exposed, usually because the dog is turning their head away while keeping their gaze on you, is one of the most reliable stress indicators in canine body language. It is the look of a dog that is monitoring a situation they find uncomfortable without wanting to engage with it directly. The body is oriented away. The eyes are still tracking. It is vigilance wearing the posture of avoidance. In isolated moments, during a specific handling procedure, in an unfamiliar situation, whale eye is contextual stress, expected and not necessarily significant on its own, but whale eye that appears regularly during ordinary interactions with you, during petting, during proximity, during nothing in particular, is a dog whose baseline comfort level around you is lower than it should be. Most owners never learn to recognize it because it is subtle and brief. But once you know what it looks like, you will start seeing it in places you never expected. And if you are seeing it consistently around you specifically, that is a signal the relationship needs attention. 5. They do not greet you when you come home. The reunion greeting is one of the most behaviorally consistent markers of attachment in dogs. A dog that is bonded to their person greets their return. Not necessarily with explosive energy, but with something. Orientation toward the door. Rising from rest, movement toward you, some behavioral acknowledgement that the most important variable in their environment has just changed. A dog that does not do this, that stays where they are, that does not orient toward you, that requires you to go to them rather than meeting you, is a dog whose attachment to you is not functioning at the level it should be. This is different from a dog that has learned not to jump. A trained dog can have a calm, controlled greeting that still expresses genuine orientation toward you. What we are talking about is the absence of orientation entirely. The dog that treats your return as a neutral event is a dog for whom your presence has not accumulated the emotional significance that a primary bond produces. It is one of the easier signals to rationalize. Maybe they are tired, maybe they are getting older, maybe they are just calm by nature. But if this is a pattern and not an exception, it deserves more than a rationalization. 6. They stiffen when you touch them. Touch between a bonded dog and their person should be, in most contexts, something the dog leans into, something they seek, something their body softens around. A dog that stiffens during your touch, that holds their body in a state of tension rather than relaxing into contact, that tolerates rather than receives, is communicating something about how physical interaction with you feels to them. This can have several roots. A history of physical handling that was too rough, too restraining, or that consistently preceded something unpleasant. Touch that has not respected the dog's signals of discomfort over time. A general level of uncertainty about you that makes physical contact feel unsafe rather than regulating. The key indicator is the contrast. A dog that stiffens with you but relaxes with other people, or relaxes when you touch them in certain ways but not others, is giving you specific information about what in your physical interaction with them is not working. Pay attention to where you touch them, how you approach, and whether the stiffening is consistent or contextual. The body does not lie, and a body that holds tension during touch is a body that has not yet found safety in it. 7. They never initiate contact with you. This is the quietest signal on the list, and in some ways the most telling. There is a meaningful difference between a dog that accepts your affection and a dog that seeks it. A dog that comes to you unprompted, that nudges your hand, that leans against you, that brings you something, that chooses your proximity when they had other options, is a dog expressing active, positive regard for you. They are not just tolerating your presence. They are choosing it. A dog that never initiates, that accepts contact when you offer it, but never reaches for it themselves, that is near you when circumstance places them there but does not seek you out, is a dog in a more passive relationship with you than a primary bond produces. Dogs with strong attachment to their person initiate contact regularly, not constantly, but consistently enough that the pattern is visible. The absence of that pattern, the dog that is always the receiver and never the initiator, is a dog whose emotional investment in the relationship may be lower than you assumed. This is often the last signal owners notice because a dog that accepts affection feels like a loving relationship from the inside. It is only when you start watching for who initiates and realize it is almost always you that the asymmetry becomes clear. None of these signals mean your dog does not love you. They mean the relationship has room to grow, and now you know exactly where to start. Drop a comment. I read every single one. Subscribe. New video every week. See you next time.